Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right, that's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right, you go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5, 7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bustle over, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. We've got a crazy night going on here this evening. A ton of action going on at Petco. We've already got 11 runs in this baseball game. We've got a full house on the program as well. Our apologies for the technical difficulties to start the program, but better late than never. No turning back. It's like a false start on a football team on the first series of the game. But this has been some crazy stuff tonight. San Diego Dodgers, Mookie Betts hit a home run. He was on an 0 for 22 playoff run. He hits the home run, and they're up 1-0. Walker Buehler's pitching well. There's 6 balls that don't get out of the infield. Somehow 6 runs are scored. Oh, yeah, Tatis hit another home run. But it just it continues. The Dodgers are down 6-1, and the craziness continues. Teoscar Hernandez hits a grand slam. And we're nailing these home run props right now. We hit Fernando Tatis at plus 325. We hit Teoscar Hernandez plus 500 to hit a home run tonight. Mookie Betts, we went over 1.5 total bases plus 145. We bet over 7.5 in the baseball game. And because I'm a psychopath, and I actually got lucky on this one. It didn't work the other night. I started chasing with the Dodgers, and it got away from us. But when it was 6-1, the Dodgers were plus 4.5. And I saw it. I'm like, you know what? I got to get in on this thing at plus 4.5. And they got another single. And then the runners on first and second, and it went to 3.5. And I thought it was a leap of faith, but I actually got the bet in. So I got in at plus 3.5 when Teoscar Hernandez came up to play right before he hit the grand slam. And we hit Hernandez at plus 500 to hit home run tonight. So we're off and running in this game. This game's going to be crazy. And I don't think we're going to be here when this game is done. We're only here for 120 minutes. This game's going to be a long baseball game tonight. So updated number right now as we speak, and we're going to the top of the fourth inning right now. It's 6-5 for San Diego. San Diego are now minus 210. The Dodgers are plus 165. The in-game total is 16.5. 16.5. Minus 130 to the under, plus 100 to the over. We've got basketball going on tonight. There's NBA preseason, but the WNBA semifinals, Game 5 elimination game. The New York Liberty await the winner of tonight's basketball game, and we can tell you the game just came to an end right now. The Minnesota Lynx beat the Connecticut Sun 88-77. 88-77 is the final score. Of course it is, because we actually bet an in-game over 165.5. You can't make this up. I'm just realizing this right now. It's, you know what? We took the Connecticut Sun plus the points. It was a loser. Collier, she's been killing it, man. She had consecutive, Collier scores like 27, 29 points a game. Her prop was like 21.5 tonight. Collier goes over the number, and we hit the over 150. So we're rolling right now. We can tell you we got football going on tonight. Liberty. I got a season win total bet on Liberty that I can't really lose on because they're not playing 12 games. If they win 11 games, I win the bet. If they don't, then I get my money back because they didn't go 12. Liberty are tied right now with FIU, laying 17 points. FIU are going to cover the spread. Let's roll.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency, the Pittsburgh Players, the Hustlers, the people, the bus, and everybody else in between. Sirius XM Channel 159, the SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. We got a wild one going on at Petco right now. 11 runs already put up on the board. The NHL dropped the puck today, and all hell broke loose in the National Football League as Robert Salah has been fired by the New York Jets. Derek Carr is out and injured, and he's going to be out for a little while, and Drake May will be starting for the New England Patriots this week. A lot of stuff to unpack, and the Devontae Adams saga continues, but listen, Robert Salah getting fired. I am surprised by this when you consider that they're playing the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. The winner of that football game will be in first place. This is, there's so many stories coming out of what happened. We'll never really know, and especially considering this is New York. You've got a lot of different media outlets. You've got a lot of sources, and you've got a lot of people involved in this story that are going to put their narrative out there. Woody Johnson's the owner of the team, so he has a couple of media members in his back pocket that he's going to share his perspective and his narrative. Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to play the I knew nothing about this. I had nothing to do with this. I'm Mr. Innocent. I'm just the quarterback of this team. Robert Salah, if he's smart, really won't say anything because other owners are going to know what he's leaking coming out of this. So there's all kinds of different stuff. There's some reports that Woody Johnson was embarrassed because don't forget, Woody Johnson's the ambassador to the UK. He was in the Trump administration, and all of his rich buddies were at the football game in England, and they lost, and he kind of snapped. There's reports, and I believe this is coming from Woody Johnson, that Robert Salah yelled at Woody Johnson a couple of times, and he yelled at the owner, that they got into an argument a few times, and Salah became aggressive, which I think that's sort of an organization trying to make him look bad. And now there's stories, which I kind of believe, that Robert Salah wanted to fire Nate Hackett, knowing that Nate Hackett is clueless. He wanted to replace Nate Hackett, knowing that he couldn't really fire him because of Aaron Rodgers, but he could demote him and take away the play calling duties from him. And supposedly he wanted to do this after the London game. He brought it up before, and I think people snitched him out. There's reports that Salah basically told the owner, I got to do something about Hackett. And then next thing you know, he's out. So clearly they didn't want to fire Aaron Rodgers' guy. Like I said, craziness going on there, but we got games to worry about right now. This baseball game is lit. We got NHL hockey. We got McInnes ready to step up and in Cam Stewart. I knew there'd be a long pregame show for this Utah Hockey Club debut tonight. And they're going to town with this thing, so we can still get our bets in. Cam Stewart in the house. How you doing, Cam?
Good, Gabe. Actually, I'm going to do some stuff that we do in the playoffs tonight. I think this game is going to be really close. Game to go to overtime is a play for me. I also think Utah is probably going to win in overtime. I like the Blackhawks plus 1.5. The juice is high at minus 165 because I think it's going to be a very tight game. Everyone's on Utah. Will they go home happy? I'm not so sure. We saw today, too, hockey again. 2-goal lead means nothing with the Seattle Kraken. The Blues score 3 unanswered to win. You could have got them at a monster price. And as you said, Gabe, Corpusalo might as well be sponsored by Saputo Swiss cheese because this guy reeks. He's not even an NHL goaltender. He's brutal.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit overreaction. I find it annoying, actually, people ripping these hockey teams today.
He's
one
bad,
game
though.
in, a period in.
He's been bad for a long time, though, Gabe. We talked about it. He's not good. He wasn't good in Ottawa. He wasn't good in LA. He's not a good goalie.
I said last night on the show, I thought this game was going to go to overtime. I still stand by it. I got a feeling that there's going to be, big drama in Utah tonight, one way or the other. And we're going to play Connor Bedard to score a goal at plus 150. And, that's a little bit of, a little play on Bedard to score a goal. But I really like the Connor Bedard over 2.5 shots on goal. I know McInnes likes to play the hockey props. We'll see what McInnes has to say about this game. Connor Bedard has been very vocal, and anyone that's been following the Blackhawks and his story, McInnes, he's going to be much more aggressive this year, right? Last year he's fitting in. He's a kid. It's his first year in the NHL. Like, he wants to score goals now. Like, he understands, all right, I'm not just going to be the kid that passes the puck and fit in with the boys. And I think the Blackhawk organization sort of leaned on his shoulder and told him, step up. Don't be, shoot the puck, take over. You know what I mean? And I think he will. So, the goal at plus 150 is just a little play because it's a nice price. But I do like the shots on goal, McInnes, because I do think Bedard will be aggressive.
You know what, Gabe? I would take the alternative number at 3.5. If people can do that at their sports book. If you can't, I don't mind the 2.5 because guess what? Value, I always say this, is betting a number that you expect to not be there eventually. You're going to give me 2.5 with Bedard. That's going to be 3.5 plus money by game 3. And then we're going to see 4.5 by December. So if you're going to give me 2.5 at minus 160, 180, 200, sign me up. But I think for him, you want to look at those over 1.5 points. He's going to be involved in a lot. But, Gabe, I always say in an NHL player prop market, a lot of times, as a player prop bettor, you hate to see unassisted goals, right? When it's just like earlier with Vince Dunn, unassisted. But I think look around who's going to be around him, right? Someone's going to have to pass those pucks to Bedard. Bedard's going to have to pass those pucks to somebody else. Like you look at Mikheyev, you look at Teravainen, you look at Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall is plus 115 to get a point tonight, Gabe. He's a former MVP in the league, so
and he's going to be on the ice
really
on the power play.
Opportunities. Exactly.
Yeah, he's going to be. Exactly. Yeah, he's going to be. They don't have a lot of other guys. Someone's got to play with him. It's a good point. I did not play the total of this game. I've been riding the unders. I played the under of the first 2 games in the Czech Republic, and we hit. So the Sabres games go under. We played the under of the Seattle Kraken game today, and that miraculously stayed under. I thought we were in trouble after it was 3-2 after 2. We didn't play the total, just played the Florida Panthers tonight to beat the Boston Bruins. And now tonight, I did not play the total either of this game. McKinnis, you got a total pick? What's your pick for this hockey game? They're doing a ceremonial puck drop right now. The owner and his wife are on the ice. We're a long ways away from dropping the puck still. But what's your pick here, McKinnis? 20 seconds before the break.
Yeah, Gabe, I'm on the over 6 here. I think the Blackhawks have improved offensively. They pick up a few guys in the offseason. Like you said, another year under the belt for Bedard. And I think Utah has talent offensively, but not very much so defensively. Over 6 for me.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Shohei Ohtani is up right now in a 6-5 baseball game. So yeah, we're getting ready to drop the puck in Utah. like I said, I do kind of feel overtime. I said it last night. I've been pretty good. We've been in a groove so far in the NHL. One step at a time, and I got some hockey futures for everybody tonight as the season's starting for real. Now, I didn't have any futures on the teams that were playing today. So it wasn't a rush. Like tomorrow, it starts for real where everybody is playing. So you got to get your regular season point bets in. Although they adapt during the season, but you know what I mean. The preseason numbers. All right. So speaking of which, we got this baseball game going on right now. 6-5. This total, guys, got up to 16.5, and it's currently right now at 14.5. Which feels a little light, to be honest. Dude, we're already at 11 right now. God, Ohtani to the wall. And our boy Vegas T-Bone just had a mini heart attack.
Oh, my God.
T-Bone's got a parlay. He posted it on Twitter because I've been killing these home run props tonight. We had Tatis to hit a home run at plus 325. We had Teoscar Hernandez. I said he would hit a home run plus 500. It's not rocket science either, guys. Like, Teoscar Hernandez is like one of the few Dodgers that's murdered Michael King in the past. Fernando Tatis had like 6 career home runs, bro, against Walker Buehler. So it's not like I didn't have to go to MIT to figure out that, you know what, these guys are kind of prime candidates to hit home runs tonight. But anyways, so T-Bone stacked a bunch of the home run props. He took Mookie Betts to hit a home run, and Mookie was 0 for 22. So Mookie paid like plus 500 to hit home run. Long story short, he put $200 on the parlay, bunch of home run props, and he needs Shohei Ohtani only for $10,000. $200, 50 to 1, paid $10,000, and Ohtani just nearly hit it out of the park. It went right deep, but it didn't quite get there. We'll see if Betts can hit another one, but any in-game bets for you here, Ken? What do you think? San Diego are minus 220 right now. The Dodgers are plus 170. The Dodgers are plus 1.5. The total is 14.5.
MIT, Gabe, I think Morency in-game totals. MIT. That's what I was thinking right there. But anyway, over in this game, I'm reading your mail. I thought Ohtani just missed. So what is he going to win? 10 grand? Oh my God. Warning track power. He must have been freaking out there. I do see more runs in this game. We're going to get into the bullpens. And I would go over that number. I got to be honest with you too, even though I have San Diego futures, the Dodgers, their gritty comeback with the Teoscar Grand Slam, I'd probably lean to them as a pooch.
McKinnis, what do you think about this in game? And you know what was cool actually, guys? And listen, I lost a ton the other night betting the Dodgers in game. So I lost a lot betting the Dodgers in game the other night, chasing the plus 2.5, plus this, plus that. But right before Teoscar Hernandez hit the grand slam, I took the Dodgers plus 3.5 runs when they were down 6-1, and then boom, now they're plus 1.5. So we're back in this thing, dude. These 5-game series, the winner, but Betts hit that hard, but right at the shortstop. The winner of Game 5. In these in 5-game series is the winner of Game 3 when you're tied at 1, goes on to win the series 72% of the time. So this is a pretty big damn game for the Los Angeles Dodgers here, especially considering they're sending Knack to the hill, and you don't know what you're going to get from him in Game 4. So this is as must win of a situation for the Dodgers, I think, as it can be. McKinnis, what do you think about this game? How do you think this is going to play out the rest of the game?
Yeah, just like yourself, Gabe, I cashed a team total bet already on the Dodgers as well. And I think that if people haven't gotten in on it already, why slow down? Because you're right. You guys are both right. A lot of times people love to say, well, this game has to slow down. Why does it? You know what I mean? You see an NBA team go out and they're shooting the lights out. Why do they have to slow down? You know what I mean? They're not going to hit every 3 all game. Doesn't mean you're going to slow down. I think this game, they got enough talent, enough depth. This Dodgers team can hurt you anywhere in the lineup. And the best part is you're going to get 9 at-bats. You're going to get 9 innings being the road team here, this Dodgers team. Over 6.5 at plus 100 I'm seeing right now at some books for the Dodgers. Let's get to 7 here, guys. Hey, let's get to 7. Forget about the Padres. Get to 7 for the Dodgers. I like it.
One thing I like about your play, it takes the win out of the equation too. So if they score, they get to 7 and they lose 8-7 or something, you can still win the bet. I agree in the sense that there's too much power in these lineups. Somebody's going to, you know what I mean? There's a lot of baseball left. We're at the top of the 5th right now, so there's still a lot of outs to be given here, and you know there's another sort of scoring outburst coming from somebody.
Utah.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not genius.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. We got a crazy, what a crazy day today in sports. The NFL, the Roberts the Law story, and then we got Drake May going to be starting. They're getting 7 points against the Texans for the Patriots. Rookie quarterback time. I agree with the move. Derek Carr got hurt. We saw last night he got smoked once, and he was wincing in pain. He's got an oblique injury. He's going to be out for a while. So it's Jake Haener time in New Orleans right now. We got a lot of football talk coming up. Rick Saratella is going to step up and in. We got Loud Esmond as well. We'll talk NFL with Rick. A lot of college football with Loud. We're tracking the baseball game right now. We've got the Utah Hockey Club's debut game tonight in Salt Lake City against the visiting Chicago Blackhawks, and we had an early goal in this game. The Utah Hockey Club take a 1-0 lead over the visiting Chicago Blackhawks. So I want to get to tomorrow's games and stuff, but last chance here, McKinnis. Futures. What do you got for us? Any bowl predictions, division titles, regular season point predictions? What do you got for us?
Look, the one I really like is kind of it's not really too exciting, but it's Adrian Kempe under on his point total for the Los Angeles Kings, and I think that you look at the Los Angeles Kings and
it's pretty random. I don't know if it's exciting, but I wasn't expecting you to come at me with this. But all right, sounds good. What do you got here? So what is this?
Kempe under.
Sorry to throw you off. You kind of threw me off. But
the NHL season started. I asked you NHL futures. It wasn't like some sort of.
Oh, don't worry, Gabe. I
didn't ask you what you thought about the Turkish elections.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So okay, I've got Kempe under on his points. I think the LA Kings are going to be extremely low scoring. They're going to win a lot of under games this year. I think their top 6 is very spread out. There's not one or two clear-cut leaders. I've got Slavkovsky over 57.5 points on the season. I have the Devils to win their division, Avalanche to win their division, and my Stanley Cup final, I think I've decided it's going to be Colorado versus, I'm going to say, either the New York Rangers or the Florida Panthers.
The Panthers, man, you got to figure they're going to run out of energy eventually. These guys have played so much hockey, but they're buzzing right now. All right, so we've got some regular season point total bets here, and I've done very well with these. The NHL season is so long, so you got to wait till spring to cash these. But maybe sometime I cashed the Canucks one last year super early, so we're gonna ride. We're gonna put all these in. And let's start off with the Columbus Blue Jackets, under 68.5 points. Obviously, this team has gone through the tragic loss of Johnny Gaudreau. They were already, talent challenged as it was. This is going to be a tough year for this hockey club. I don't see how they're going to get to 69 points. So we're going to go under the 68.5 here. La Canadienne Montreal, I'm buying in. I like what Martin St. Louis is doing. They're slowly building this thing step by step, and he talks about how, you can have a flashy house from the outside, but there's nothing inside. And he got philosophical about we're building a home with a solid foundation, and we like where we're going here. But at the same point in time, I know there's also a little bit of a sense of urgency right now, right? It's not for the Montreal Canadiens. It was sort of like, all right, let's be patient. We're going to rebuild this, and now it's like, okay, we got to compete for a playoff spot. Enough of just sort of moral victories. We played well. They're going to be an offensive, really tough team to deal with. The Canadians are going to score goals. They're going to give up goals. I like Montembeault between the pipes. They're still a couple of years away from being a real contender, but I think they can get to 77 points. And we talked about liking Slavkovsky over 24.5 goals this year. New York Islanders, this is the one. It's not sexy or flashy, but the New York Islanders, people don't realize this. When Patrick Roy took over, they went 20-12-4. And Patrick Roy is a good coach. He's adapted to the modern NHL. They like him. They don't have superstar players, but they're a pretty deep team, actually. Lamoriello gets a lot of, criticism for his old school ways, but he's put together a competitive, not spectacular hockey team that I do believe can go over 91.5 points with Patrick Roy there. They need their goalie to be on top of his game like he wasn't at times last year. But I think this Islander team's going to get 94, 95, 96 points or something like that and make the playoffs. I'm looking for a regression for the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas point total is 98.5. That's going to be tough, right, to get to 99. They've got a lot of forward issues. To me, they've got defensive. They've got issues. It's catching up to them all these years. Their roster this is the worst roster that they've had, or at least the most question marks that they've had in a couple of years, actually, if not ever. And then finally, the Vancouver Canucks, over 99.5. They had 109 points last year. And last year was a great year, right? So let's say they don't match exactly what they did last year. I don't think there'll be that big of a drop-off where they're only going to get 99 points or 98 points or something like that. They'll crack the 100-point barrier here. So those are my regular season point total wins. And my exact Stanley Cup forecast, we're throwing darts with this, but I'm on the bandwagon. I do believe Connor McDavid's going to win a Stanley Cup, right? The only question is, this is it. They're knocking on the door right now. The NHL is the sort of one league where you'll see teams. You have to climb the ladder. You have to feel the pain. You know what I mean? You can get there. Vegas got there and lost. There's a history of teams getting to the cup and losing and getting back after and then winning. And I think the Oilers are in line for this. And I was looking at who they're going to beat, who they're going to play. The Panthers, it wouldn't shock me if it was the Panthers again, but I didn't just want to go with the same one. I actually considered the New Jersey Devils as some sort of an upstart. I'm like, all right. And this is pretty crazy because we all know it's impossible for two Canadian teams to play each other in the Stanley Cup. But here it is. The Edmonton Oilers beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup this year. 60-1.
Oh, my God.
Awesome.
Oh, my God. Cam.
60-1.
I'm blown away. I imagine we get Toronto versus Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final. Armageddon.
This is the Leafs year where they get to the Cup with Craig Berube in his first year.
I have Leafs to win.
And then they lose, but you lose in heartbreak. You're going to lose. You're going to lose to the Oilers.
Of course.
I'm going to give Gabe my mailing address after the show, and I want him to send me whatever he's smoking. I want to send me whatever his dealer's giving him.
All right, hold on. So what's your exact Stanley Cup
McGinnis
forecast?
is coming hard, baby. He's coming hard.
What's your Stanley Cup forecast?
Yeah, what do you got?
Avalanche Rangers.
Okay, Avalanche Rangers, huh?
Who wins?
Avalanche? All right, so because the New York Rangers get to the Stanley Cup all the time, right, McInnes? You're calling out my Leafs pick. Yeah. Rangers haven't been to a Stanley Cup since 1994.
Hey, a guy can make a joke.
True.
Come on now.
True or false?
True or false? I enjoyed Toronto versus Edmonton. I thought he was going to yell at the graphics guy going, "What's Toronto doing?"
Edmonton, Florida really wouldn't surprise me, though. I'm not going to lie. Edmonton, Florida wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
you get rid of those cats.
I would love
just, get them out of there. Come on. Come on.
I'd love an all-Canadian matchup. I'd love it more than a lot of people, I think. And guys, I'll tell you one thing. I was on like 5 shows today, and I listed off on every show I was on all the departures for the Florida Panthers, and I feel like an absolute clown for how fast they looked, the chemistry they had, everything. I'm not saying one game's going to paint the whole picture, but I know, but man, they looked smooth. They looked smooth out there, and they looked like they didn't miss a beat. But you're right, one game, Cam.
Here are the numbers, guys.
It looked good.
Edmonton Oilers to beat the Florida Panthers, 45-1. Oilers to beat the Devils, 45-1. Panthers to beat the Oilers, 50-1. Devils to beat the Oilers, 50-1. Devils getting a lot of love. Yep. Oilers to beat the Hurricanes, 55-1. Dallas Stars, that might be a team that we're not talking about enough. Stars to beat the Panthers, 60-1. Here it is. Edmonton Oilers to beat the Rangers, 60-1. All right. Where's some Colorado stuff here? Here's one.
There's additional.
We got to get better than 70-1. Colorado to beat the Montreal Canadiens, 70-1. Come on.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're looking at some of these Stanley Cup future exact numbers. Got a 6-5 baseball game right now. We're going into the top of the 6th inning. Big-time drama, but I tell you, it's slowed down this game. So the total got up to 16.5. Still at 14.5 though. I thought the 14.5 was a little light. Still at 14.5. So 6-5, and it just moved to 13.5, minus 145 to the over right now. Max Muncy is up in the top of the 6th inning. There's one out in this baseball game, and now it suddenly gets tense. It's amazing, how this series has really lived up to the hype, though. The baseball playoffs have lived up to the hype. And how about the Miracle Mets? This Met team, one win away from making it to the National League Championship Series, which I didn't think was probable. I didn't even think they were going to get to the playoffs in the last week. I figured they'd find a way to Met it up, and here they are right now. So Andrew McInnes in the house. What is Cam Stewart laying it down? We got a lot of football talk coming up. Loud Esmond's going to join us in about 15, 20 minutes. We'll talk big-time college football games this week. We got Rick Saratella talking some NFL a little bit later on as well. But before we get to that, tomorrow, full slate of NHL hockey on the board. And let's get McInnes's best bets here. McInnes, what do you like in a National Hockey League on Wednesday?
Gabe, I got 2 picks that I really like. I wanted to give out tonight to you. We'll start off with the Rangers team total over 3.5. You guys know I love those team totals, and you're taking that minus price into a plus price with the Rangers, plus 115, 120. You shop around for the best number there. 6 of the last 7 times the Rangers have defeated the Penguins, they've scored at least 4 goals. When they win, they score in bunches. The Penguins, to me, they're going to be okay offensively, actually. They might shock some people. Defensively, I'm worried. Forget about the names at the back of the jersey. I think Carlson's getting slow. I think Letang's getting slow. Their blue line is actually where the hard stuff is. Their forward group isn't as bad as it looks. So Rangers, team total up and over 3.5. Let's keep things going with the goals. I like Vancouver and Calgary together, both of them up and over. Let's get 7 goals, I guess, over 6 in that one. Calgary, everyone says is going to be the worst team ever. They're writing them off. Huberdeau, Kadri, so many good offensive players. But have you seen their blue line? Their blue line, should be every guy out there should be in the AHL. It's embarrassing. And you look at Vancouver, they got a blue line that will all play offense. The top 3 lines, you've got Garland on line 3. You've got Besser. You've got Pettersson. You've got so many great players. That, to me, is going to be an over. And I know that Vancouver can be a good defensive team, Gabe, but they also have pace. They've got speed. I feel like that game is going to be a real fun game to watch.
You know what the Vancouver Canucks do? They attack you early, man. Like, the Canucks are going to come out flying tomorrow, to start this, the game. They're going to score. Canucks, I used to cash that first goal in the 10 minutes all the time with Vancouver. They're very good at scoring quickly. They're minus 200 favorites. I kind of agree with you, McInnes, though. I think the Calgary Flames are going to be a little bit more scrappier than people think. They've got talent up front. The back end, though, they've got issues, goaltending issues. I think the total's a little light at 6, to be honest, in this game. If I had to call a score here, I'd say 5-2 Vancouver. Maybe 5-3, you know what I mean? But I think Vancouver will score goals. Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night, guys. Opening up in the Belle Province in Montreal, the Canadiens are plus 150 home underdogs. The Maple Leafs minus 190 right now. Cam, what are you doing with this game?
Too much respect for the Leafs. By the way, you're getting this from a guy that loves the Leafs. I love the Canadiens point total with both of you guys. That's one bet we're all on. 76.5 is way too low. Gabe, I'd say under in this game, but McInnes knows too. Every time Toronto and Montreal get together, it's just a gong show. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't want to take the over in every game, but I wish it was not a 6.5, but I would not be shocked if we had a 4-3 game, 5-4, something like that. I want to take the under, but I can't with these two teams because a lot of penalties, a lot of emotion, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I lean to the Leafs, but I don't like the price.
Interesting card tomorrow. You got divisional matchups, and you've got the Vegas Golden Knights and McInnes' Colorado Avalanche in Vegas. Are the Avs going to start out with a win here, McInnes, on the road?
I kind of worry about them a little bit early on in the season. I think that line tells you something that people believe in Vegas to get off to a good start. I think the under is actually the play in that game. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. I think Vegas' scoring is going to dry up. They still have a good defensive core. Let's not forget about what their backbone really is. They still do have good goaltending. They're healthy now. And I think it's going to take some time for Colorado to get their chemistry going. So I wouldn't expect Colorado to come flying out the gates by any means. And I really do like Cam's under, but as you mentioned, Cam, I mean, we get a couple of power play goals. We're screwed with that under. The Habs, they were announced today the youngest team in the entire National Hockey League, and a lot of that's to do with their blue liners besides Matheson and Savard. But I feel like their coaching staff is really one of those teams. I'm not saying they're going to park the bus and bend don't break, but they're really kind of a protect your end and then counter-strike type of team, and that's how they're going to try and play. Kirby Dach, guys, watch out for him. Over 1.5 shots on goal. Guys, you got to lay a little bit of chalk, 140, 145. He spent the whole year out last year. A lot of pressure coming in for him this season on the second line. I like him quite a bit. Over 1.5 shots on goal, Kirby Dach. That's my play in that game.
I'm curious to see how the Edmonton Oilers start the year. Coming off the heartbreaking loss. I like this team, so I sort of assume they're going to be hot to start the year. But remember last year, they got murdered by the Vancouver Canucks in the first 2 games of the year. Or like 2 of the first 3 games. They opened up and Vancouver smoked them. And then they played a couple of days later again, on a Saturday night, and Vancouver smoked them again, right? And it sort of set the tone for the coach to get fired, actually. It sort of, it got the wheels rolling of negativity early in the season. So they're going to be, they're going to remember stumbling out of the gate last year. But the Winnipeg Jets are a scrappy team. And, the Oilers, the Oilers are good. It doesn't mean they're going to win every game and you want to lay the big price. But the Oilers are minus 165 favorites. The Winnipeg Jets are plus 140. What do you think of that game, McKinnis? Who you got there, Jets or Oilers?
I think the Oilers are going to be locked in, Gabe. I really do. I don't think they're going to get blown out. I don't think they're going to get caught off guard by the Jets. I think they're going to manage their emotions to get the job done. They're also healthier right now. They're going to be a team to get the job done in. They're going to give up some goals, though, as well. So I think with the team total over 3.5 goals.
No one gets rich betting any team named the Jets.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. 6-5 baseball game still right now at Petco. Wild stuff how it could, it was 6-1. It looks a blowout, high-scoring game, and then suddenly it might as well be 1-0 right now, right? It's just the drama of a one-run baseball game. Pretty big game for the Dodgers. I'm starting to get the feeling the Dodgers are in trouble in this series. San Diego's offense is just so hot. The Dodgers don't have any pitchers. They're rolling out guys and just sort of hoping for the best. But here we are right now. Like I said, 5-game series is teams that win game 3 when the series is tied at 1 go on to win the series 72% of the time. The Liberty Flames, speaking of winning in dramatic fashion, this Liberty football team, guys, they're now 5-0 on the season. They don't cover point spreads ever. And I know this as somebody that bet season win total Liberty over 10.5. I don't have a lot of room for error, right? You bet it over 10.5. They can lose one game this year. So I've watched every Liberty game this year. And every game, they're either trailing, it's tied. Tonight, guys, they were 10-point favorites in the first half. Their first half scores this year was 47-47. Like, this isn't like Liberty were 12-0 last year, and people are pricing them like it was last year's team. It's not last year's team, right? They're still really good. They still are the best team in their conference. But we gave you guys FIU plus 10 in the first half, cash it. And we took FIU plus 17, cash it. And we even hit the touchdown prop with a running back. Cooley scored the touchdown in the first half. So we're lighting up college football. Good stuff tonight. And I'm still alive with my Liberty win total because they won. 5-0 Liberty Flames right now. All right, McKinnon. So speaking of football, we got the Thursday nighter with the Seahawks and the 49ers. Your Packers coming off the win against the Los Angeles Rams. What do you like this week in the NFL?
You know what, Gabe? The ugly play I gave out last week cashed with the Giants plus the points over the Seahawks. We're going to go back
good call.
to the Seahawks in this range. I like them. You know what I mean? We'll take them plus 3.5. I like this spot for them to bounce back, keep things close, keep within a field goal, a little sprinkle on the money line there. I like the Jags this week on the money line. Of course, we'll take that 2.5 as well. But, they always play well when it's early morning, apparently, here in North America. It's where they play their best over in London. So we'll go ahead and take that one. And then I'm going to take the Texans team total under 21.5 points. This is a big game for the Patriots. Everyone's talking about the quarterback situation. What happens when a new quarterback comes in? You run the ball a lot. You dink and dunk a lot. Your defense steps up for you. It's also kind of a tough game to follow for the Houston Texans after it was a very exciting game for them and a kind of passion-filled game last week for them. So under 21, I'm not backing the Pats. I'm not backing them on the point spread. I'm going to back their defense, and I'll take the Houston Texans team total under 21.5 points.
The Green Bay Packers playing the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are one of the most unpredictable, strange teams in the NFL. Like, you really don't know what you're going to get from them on a weekly basis. They can beat the 49ers, they can beat the Rams, or they can get smoked, right? And listen, the Washington Commanders could be that good. Before we get you out of here, McKinnis, the CFL season is rolling along right now, and the playoffs are around the corner. I'm looking at this Edmonton-Calgary game, guys. Meaningless football game. Both teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. This is a stone-cold over right here. Stone cold over. And Bethel Thompson even admitted it the other day. He said, well, we want to entertain the fans. And, people pay money for these games. Let's have some fun. And same with Calgary, right? I mean, right now, no one's going to be – they're both eliminated from the playoffs. So it's a meaningless game. I would expect that game to be a track meet and just sort of a lot of fun. The BC Lions and the Riders, though, that's a key game this week. Playing for home field advantage in the playoffs. What's your pick, McKinnis? BC Lions and the Rough Riders.
Yeah, I'm just shocked. I mean, I don't know if I can call it a bad beat on Calgary plus 7.5 last week, but they're covering all game. We see a scoop and score and then a pick six to a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
That's
good for the over too.
I don't think anybody.
I really enjoyed that. Sorry, I bet BC in game and the over. I really enjoyed all those plays. It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, and then even they scored at the end. Even
I know. I was like
Jake Mayer was.
It's brutal.
Yeah, Jake Mayer was like the longest yard, man. He had money on BC. I don't know who he was doing, but guys, I'm going to go ahead with the same bet as Gabe. I like the Calgary-Edmonton game over, but I also do lean towards Calgary. Hey, you know what? Fading Ottawa's been working lately, Gabe. It's been working lately. Not at the start of the season, but it's working now. Give me Montreal minus the points, minus 4.5. And I also recommend Saskatchewan 10-1 to win the Grey Cup. Bet that this week, guys.
I was going to ask you, we'll get into some Grey Cup future odds Like you said, Ottawa are starting to fade a little bit, right? Injuries, realities catching up. Their schedule is getting tougher for them. And the thing with Ottawa, they can't beat Montreal. So, like, they don't have a hope in hell. Like, the Owls own them. Just own them.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not genius.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Level 2 has begun. The Twisted Tuesday. Rick Saratella will step up in a little bit later on. NFL Draft Bible, All Access Football. He's a scout with the Edmonton Elks as well. 6-5 San Diego still. There's 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. And there it is. It's the end of the 7th inning right now. So we're going to the bottom of the 7th inning. San Diego have a 1-run lead, 6-5. Ton of early runs. It's slowed down. It's turned into a pitcher's duel right now. And you could tell the Dodgers, every Dodger's just sort of trying to hit a home run right now, right? Like they're like, all right, we got to tie the game. And I like to see them just sort of try to make contact instead of everyone swinging for the fences. But on the plus side, and for the record, the Dodgers, Ohtani will be coming up. That was the ninth pause. It was the ninth in the 9-hole that just ended the inning. So top of the order for the Dodgers in the 8th inning. It's basically the game's going to be on the line for them. Let's bring in Loud Esmond right now. I don't know if Loud's got any action on this baseball game tonight. Loud, good to see you as always. How you doing tonight?
I was on the same side with you guys on the FIU Liberty game with FIU plus 16. So I had that earlier. That was what I was betting on tonight. But I got to tell you, has there ever been a better Tuesday in sports? There's college football, and it goes to overtime. There's multiple playoff baseball, and there's hockey. So, I mean, it's
not
just
to
like
mention, Loud,
a fantastic
not to mention, all hell broke loose in the NHL, in the NFL today. Robert Salah fired, Derek Carr's out injured, Drake May starting for the Patriots. Like, each on a slow day would be a big story. They'd be like, all right, let's talk about Drake May. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's, there's so much going on. Not to mention, and we'll hit these games with you, massive week of college football. We're coming off the biggest, it was a great weekend of sports over the weekend, and it's just going to continue. But the baseball is really delivering. But 5 of the top 11 teams in the top 25 lose. First time ever on one Saturday that 5 of the top 11 teams lose. Miami nearly became the 6th, but they dodged the bullet. And then we got a pretty good one of desperate football teams, San Francisco and Seattle on Thursday night. There's all kinds of stuff. I just saw a video tonight, actually. The Washington Huskies beat Michigan, and one of the assistant coaches of Michigan, I think, just got fired. Washington fans were talking trash at the Michigan bench, and one of the coaches walked up, like, right into the face of a student and says, if you don't shut the F up, I'm going to F you the F up. And he scared the hell out of the kid. It was a big dude, came over, and the kid was like, we're good. I'm sorry. We're sorry, man. I'm sorry. And, yeah, Michigan, like I just saw it tonight, he's been deleted from the Michigan page and all that. So there was carnage there. And I didn't realize this at the time, guys. When Dak Prescott threw the winning touchdown, I just saw the video tonight. When Dak Prescott threw the winning touchdown the other night, he threw a punch in the air. Like he was like, yeah. He missed punching the referee in the face by like a millimeter. No, I didn't watch the video. I retweeted it. It's crazy. Remember that happened once? I saw that happen in a college basketball game, guys. And like 2 years ago, it was the kid on Illinois. The kid on Illinois, it was against Michigan. There was a thunderous dunk. Boom. He came down and he did a fist pump. And he was like a 7-footer. And he smoked the referee in the face with his fist pump. And it knocked the ref out. So I've seen that happen before. Yeah, so Dak nearly knocked the referee out, which a lot of people would have enjoyed, actually, after watching that flag fest. But I digress. So let's get in. Let's start off, actually, with the Seahawks and the 49er game. What do you think of that game, Loud, on Thursday night?
Well, the problem with that game is, first of all, Thursday night games I don't really love because I call it Thursday night shenanigans. All kinds of weird things happen in these Thursday night games and in the foreign games. If I had to pick somebody right now, I would pick whatever team is getting the points, and that's Seahawks, I believe, plus 3.5, because I don't have confidence in either one of these teams right now. The 49ers, man, they're blowing leads late. They don't look clean on offense. They're just not playing well in really any phase of the game, and their defense is middle of the pack at best. And so I can't really have confidence in either one of these teams, especially
it should
when
be
the
points
Seahawks
in this game. Sorry to jump in, but something you just said right there about their defense. We're seeing the Niners give up in the mid-20s routinely right now, even against mediocre teams. And quite frankly, Seattle can't stop anybody. Right. And it was overblown about Seattle's defense earlier in the year and the scrub quarterbacks that they played. Bo Nix in his first game, Skylar Thompson, they knocked him out of the game. Right. Like, now that Seattle, I know they've had injuries on the D line, but their secondary is getting exposed quite a bit here, Seattle, right now. So I don't see why both teams don't get into the 20s here, because Seattle are moving the football. Right. Their offense isn't, their offense is Geno's playing good football. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's stepped up. I think there should be some points in that game, guys.
Agreed. Gabe, I got in at 47.5, guys, and now it's up to 48.5 on some books. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Morency. There should be points.
But, as we all know, Thursday night division games, no one's getting rich betting overs in that spot.
I know.
Right.
You're right.
I'll throw that out there.
Well, I've got some college football stuff to go over. I was talking last week about a bunch of teams that we're not covering. And so now that we've got a large enough sample size, we're kind of getting to the point where we know what these teams are. And I love looking at teams that are covering versus teams that just aren't covering. And there's some surprising ones. Last week, I was all over Army because they had not covered, and they were minus 11. They won by, I think, 40. Eastern Michigan hasn't not covered. Marshall hasn't not covered. Illinois hasn't not covered. BYU hasn't not covered. And I gave out the Pitt over North Carolina pick on this show last week because they had done nothing but cover. And that's still the case. All these teams, are not the marquee teams, and they're all punching above their weight. And I kind of am giving them a look every week, and Army and Eastern Michigan figure into my college picks this week. And then there are some definite teams to fade. Air Force, North Carolina, Kent State, Kansas, North Carolina State have not covered a spread all season. But here are some teams that are 1-4 against the spread. Michigan, Oregon, LSU, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Each of those teams has covered the spread once all season. There's lots of other teams in this category, but these are some of the marquee teams that just aren't covering spreads.
Hasn't Indiana covered every game, Gabe?
Indiana.
With yes.
Indiana have covered. Indiana a bit of machine. But that's the thing. There's a lot of marquee teams you just talked about there allowed. New conference, realignment, tougher schedules, big point spreads. The Ducks are a good example of this. Like, the odds makers know the Ducks so well. And I talked about it last week. If the Ducks are favored by 24, they're going to win by 21. Or they'll be up by 28, and they'll give up the back door. Like, the Ducks play to the point spread big time. Except this week, they actually have a real game. But how about this, guys, as far as you just talked about teams that have covered all the time? There's only 3 teams in college football that have not trailed once all year long. 3 teams. And one of them, you just mentioned one of them. Actually, 2 of them. Army have not trailed once this year. Indiana have never trailed once this year. And the Texas Longhorns have never been behind in a football game this year. And how about this? You talked about Kent State not covering. Kent State have not had the lead once in a football game this year.
That's brutal.
Imagine how you're on a football team, and not only you're losing, Cam, but you never even had the lead. Like, you've never even been like, man, we're up 7-0. Let's go. They've never had the lead.
They're the ones bringing the MAC down. Look how well Bowling Green almost beat Penn State. A lot of these MAC teams have played really good. Loud talked about Eastern Michigan. These guys have been like stepping up. But Kent State's bringing the conference down, Gabe.
We'll get some more college picks on the other side.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Quickest 120 minutes in sports talk and television. Sirius XM channel 159. Shout out to everyone watching us on whatever television platform you are. And I just got a text from somebody who's in the Venetian in Las Vegas right now, and he just sent me a picture. And we're on right now. So shout out to everybody at the Venetian. If you got closed captioning right now, what's up, Venetian? And pretty crazy, too. I would never, surprise me, this one. The other day, same thing. Somebody showed me a picture. They said, your TV show is on right now in a restaurant in Hawaii. Yeah. And I said, oh, really? And they sent me a picture actually in the restaurant in Hawaii the other night. I didn't know the person either. It was a friend of a friend. A friend of mine said, yeah, a friend of mine is on vacation in Hawaii, and they actually see you right now on TV in a bar restaurant, and they sent the picture, actually. I remember Paul Bovey a couple of years ago. Bovey said this. It was like 10 years ago, and Bovey was in Mexico, and Bovey said, you're on TV right now at the dog and horse track at the sports book in Mexico. Nice. And I said, wow. I'm sure there's a lot of white bald guys that host shows. I said, I don't know, like, why we would be on there, why we would be on. And then he told me, he goes, Steve Merrill's on right now. He saw, like, the guest. I was like, oh. I guess we really are on it at the dog track in Mexico right now. See, SportsGrid really is on in a lot of places right now. So shout out to everybody.
My buddy had a picture of you at Costa Rica and me. We were on the show from Costa Rica in the bar. My buddy just came back. He's like, I can't believe you're on in Costa Rica. Like, it's crazy. It's everywhere.
They don't get audio. A lot of people aren't hearing us, though, so they're just seeing us. So 6-5 in the baseball game. Still, Ohtani is up right now. Big-time drama at Petco. Ohtani's looking to take one deep and tie this game. So Loud Esmond with us. He's got 3 college football games that he's got his eye on. One of them including Cal. Wild football game. We could argue it should have been targeting, yes, but they also blew a 35-10 lead. That's on them. So really, it's going to be a tough spot for Cal coming off that heartbreaking loss. Loud, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, you got a really hot team in Pitt who's coming off a double-digit win over North Carolina. It's a game that I picked last week here on the show because North Carolina hadn't covered and Pitt had covered every game. And like you said, Cal gave everything, the Hurricanes, and, well, aptly named this week. God bless everybody in Florida. Cal gave the Hurricanes everything they could handle, and then they allowed them to score 21 straight points. Heartbreaking loss. Pitt -3.5 right now, depending on where you find the odds. I think Cal just runs out of steam here. They had that huge week. College game day is in Berkeley, vast crowd, national attention, and
the kid hits the field goal in front of McAfee.
Yeah,
it was a wild day
with Vans.
Yeah.
That's his shoes. He's wearing like skateboarding shoes too. I love that kid. He was great.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be hard for this team to recover from that. And something that you were mentioning in the break, these teams that have joined these new conferences where they have to travel, 10,000 miles to away games. It's not working out well for them. They're doing nothing but losing in those games.
Michigan's a good example. Michigan's first road game of the season. It's like 2,600 miles. Ohtani pops out to center field. Betts pops out to center field. Now there's 2 outs in the 8th. Man, close game, but the Dodgers really are running out of outs. They got 4 outs to give. Freddie Freeman coming up. But no, I've noticed this too, Lad. I was talking about it. I brought it up the other night. The teams in this new conference stuff, you got to travel. They're not used to it. Like college football teams are used to the routine. They're used to the stadium. They're used to how to deal with the crowd. And, they go into these new elements. USC goes to Minnesota and loses. Michigan goes out west and loses. Washington goes to Rutgers and loses. I could go on. We're seeing it in Miami. Man, massive favorites nearly lose going out onto the West Coast. So what are the other 2 games that you got circled this week?
I love Army. Army's been crushing everything in its past. And this week they face a terrible team. UAB's allowing an alarming 36.8 points per game. They rank among the worst defenses in the nation. They can't stop the run, especially, which is going to be terrible against Army. The triple option attack by Army, led by Bryson Daly, is just driving everybody crazy. It's been excellent. It shows no signs of slowing down. And then Army's defense is among the best in the country.
Hey, guys, you know, this is
low.
crazy. This is crazy, but it's not. Army and Navy could be a playoff decider. That football game. They're both undefeated. And number one, listen, Navy play at Notre Dame, so that's going to be tough for them. But Army are going undefeated, Loud. Look at their schedule. Army are going undefeated, and then they're going to play Navy, who is going to have a pretty gaudy record as well when it's all said and done. And you want to show some love for everyone. Shows we salute service and stuff. Put them in the playoff. If Army are undefeated, you got to put them in the playoff, right? Like they're right there.
Absolutely.
Like with this, as crazy as it sounds, guys, but hypothetically, think about it. Army schedule is cruise control. I think you're not beating them, and then let's just say Navy beats Notre Dame. Then that really is like it's a going to the playoffs type of deal. Like it's gonna be amazing if that happened. It's crazy, but it could happen.
What is scary about Army is there's nothing that they don't do well. They're great on offense. They're great on defense. They can actually throw the ball a little bit, and they're great on special teams, and they're extremely disciplined. Don't get stupid penalties. They're going to be a tough out for anybody, I think.
And yeah, man, because they're relentless. You got to stop that ground attack. They can mix in some passes. Like I said, he's the good Monken coach, not the Todd Monken. All right, we only got about a minute left here, Loud. Where can
Miami, Ohio at EMU? And we talked about EMU has been covered every game. I don't understand this line. EMU is 4-1. Miami, Ohio is 1-4. EMU is not lost against the spread this season. Miami, Ohio has only covered once. The game is at EMU. Miami, Ohio has not gotten past 23 points in the season. EMU scored 52 in their last game, and the mid-30s the two before that. I'll take the home team, EMU, that has done nothing but covered the spread and plus 3.5 points and a bet on the money line.
Loud, where can people find you online?
Winnersandwhiners.com, winnersandwhiners.com.
Winnersandwhiners.com. Hopefully more winners than whiners. Let's roll.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Teoscar Hernandez is up right now. Runner on first base. He got a 2-2 count. And there have been quite a few pitches in this. And Suarez wins the battle. He finally gets Hernandez to pop out in the infield. So the Dodgers are going to have 3 outs left to tie the baseball game. They're down 6-5. What a game. As a Dodger fan, I'm not enjoying being on the wrong side of it. But for betting purposes, I did take the Dodgers plus 3.5 when they were down 6-1. We bet the over 7.5. We hit a bunch of home run props. But I'm not going to be a fan. I'm going to be sweating out this next game now, facing elimination. All right, Loud, before we get you out of here, NFL football this week. So, yeah, we got the Thursday nighter with Seattle and San Francisco. We talked about a bit. And, it's an interesting week this week. The Washington Commanders have taken the league by storm, yet the odds makers and the public really haven't caught up. They should have been obviously bigger favorites than 3 points against the Cleveland Browns, and we saw the result. And Washington, you keep waiting for them to even I said, wow, that's pretty tough, man. Coming off the Monday night win in Cincinnati, now you're going to the West Coast in Arizona. They smoked them, right? And it's like, all right, now they follow that up with another win. They're not letting up this Washington team. They're enjoying winning so much, Loud. Like, there are no letdowns for this team.
No, they're in the list of a short list of teams that I love right now in the NFL, and I love them not because I'm a fan, but because they're making me money. Vikings top the list. They're 5-0 against the spread. Question is there a better overall team right now? Commanders 4-1. Jaden Daniels, MVP right now, I think. You can make an argument for a couple other players, but he's right there. Broncos, surprisingly, this one kind of shocked me. The Broncos are 4-1 against the spread. It doesn't look pretty, but they keep covering. And the Colts, 4-1 against the spread. Now, that's partly the Flacco effect. Get this stat. Anthony Richardson has the lowest passer rating in the NFL among the 32 quarterbacks with enough passing attempts to qualify. The backup, Joe Flacco, ranks first. So
it's
if
the
there's
worst,
not a quarterback ranks
It's
first.
happened to me a couple of times where I bet against the Colts, and I'm betting against Anthony Richardson, and Flacco comes in and screws me, Loud, because he's better.
Right.
Like, it's one of those instances where the backup is better. Like, same with, Tennessee the other night, Will Levis. I bet against Will Levis. I didn't bet against Mason Rudolph. Right? I bet against Will Levis. But Will Levis gets knocked out of the game, and the backup is actually better than the starter. Andy Dalton, right? Carolina, same type of thing. What do you think of that Denver game? They're hosting the Chargers, and they're getting a field goal.
I would side with Denver in that game. It is a division game. Division games are always tough. The Chargers aren't exactly lighting up the scoreboard, and Denver's defense is for real, and I think they can keep it close. Some teams that I'm fading in the NFL, I mean, my Saints, my goodness, what a disaster. They're down to one starting offensive lineman. They're on their third center who they got off the Giants practice squad. Derek Carr's out for several weeks. Hello, Jake Hayner. And the injury to Taysom Hill was massive. The Raiders, please tell me
what's good about that. And they play the Broncos next, too. The Sean Payton Bowl is actually the Thursday night game, just for the record.
Yeah. Nothing I see good about the Raiders. They're always overbet. The Browns, boy, the Deshaun Watson is a disaster. The Titans, the coach and the QB don't like each other. They're headed for divorce. Dolphins, no 2-0 chance. And I think the Jets were already on my list, but they're even worse now that they fired the one guy that actually was doing a good job with his part of the team. Robert Saleh.
Yeah, I saw a stat tonight. Speaking of stats, the Jets' defense the last 3 years under him has been number one in every metric. And he's not the offensive guy. Like, he didn't ask for Aaron Rodgers. He didn't ask for Nate Hackett. You gave him this, right? You gave him this. And you gave him Zach Wilson before. I think Salah was terrible with the media. You know what I mean? He did bad interviews. He would put his foot in his mouth. But I think he is getting a bum deal there. Okay, so, and finally, we agreed as far as the total. Cam, what's your pick for San Francisco and Seattle? You taking the Seahawks or the Niners?
I like the over in this game more than the side. Now that Seattle's getting the hook, I'll be there, Gabe. But I think I don't want to take the coward's way out, but a teaser to the over sounds really good with the underdog. That's how I got to play the game. I worry a little bit because San Francisco's coming off that loss to Arizona. They're going to be angry, and Seattle's defense reeks. But San Francisco's not playing well either. It's a get-right spot. Big game for both teams.
I think Seattle is the play at plus 3.5. Like Loud said, San Francisco 49ers just can't be trusted. They're priced like past Niner teams. Sort of like how we opened this up. Like Liberty. I brought it up earlier. Liberty are being priced like it's last year's team. It's not last year's team. They only run the ball. They threw the ball last year. They run the ball now. It's different. Loud Edmonton.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Let's do this thing. Rick Saratella steps up and in, the founder of the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com, a scout with the Edmonton Elks. Rick, it's been a very busy day today, and that would be an understatement. Bombshell from the Meadowlands earlier in the day. Drake May will be starting in Foxborough. Let's do this thing. Rick, always a pleasure, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing a lot better than Robert Sala. It's been a Twizzy Tuesday here at the New York, New Jersey coast.
Now, listen, I think personally that I think he sort of is the scapegoat here. I don't think he's to blame for the reason why the New York Jets are struggling right now. But honestly, if you think about it, they kind of did him a favor, to be real. He wasn't going to be back next year. Let's just be real. This thing is going to implode, and he wouldn't have been back next year. He gets paid in full, right? You know, if you're a coach, you get paid, unlike the players. So he gets paid in full, and it gives him, a lot of time to figure out his next move and where his next job will be. There's all kinds of crazy stories out there, Rick, right now. And, of course, being New York and all these, with Johnson and Rodgers and so many different perspectives and narratives that they're going to want to get out there into the media is concerned. But the big one was Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with it, didn't know about it. And a lot of people are saying that Woody Johnson just pulled the trigger on his own and didn't even tell Joe Douglas. But now there's reports as well that Robert Saleh wanted to fire Nate Hackett. That basically Saleh was like, our offense sucks and Hackett's a problem. We got to fire him. And then, boom, he ends up getting fired after the fact. What do you think happened here? Because, like I said, dude, there's going to be like 16 different stories that's going to be coming out of that building.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. You know, Woody Johnson, his track record has not been to fire coaches in season. In fact, this is the first time the Jets have dismissed a coach in season since Lou Holtz, I think, in 1968. So this caught Robert Saleh off guard. I didn't see it coming. He's been a guy that's never really kind of come around. Like, he was introduced as this defensive mastermind, relatable to the players. We never kind of saw that personality, not really a good in-game manager, not really a motivational guy that I saw. And I think this was an accumulation. One, I go back a couple weeks ago when Aaron Rodgers shoved Robert Saleh. I was told, no big deal, just football guys being dudes. I don't know. When it was slowed down, I saw a ferocity in Aaron Rodgers' eyes when he looked into Robert Saleh's soul. It looked like a guy who was pissed off, didn't respect his coach, and was, quite frankly, just angry. And I thought there was something there. And I think there's more than meets the eye, and this whole situation smells like fish. SNY is a very reputable media news outlet. So for them to say Robert Saleh came in, demoted Nathaniel Hackett, promoted Todd Downing, and then 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, was dismissed as the head coach, I think word spread like wildfire. I think this was on Woody Johnson's mind, and, it was kind of a domino impact and effect. But it all goes back to Aaron Rodgers. This is the man pulling the strings. This is a move of desperation. 2 weeks ago, it was an abysmal offense against the Denver Broncos. London was, again, a despicable performance. You saw Rodgers' leg crumble up. And I think Woody Johnson, we all held our breath like, here we go again. And I think Woody Johnson just kind of saw the cave crumbling in and said, you know what? We've got to make a move. We got to make it now. And again, it reeks of desperation. Robert Saleh is the fall guy. Joe Douglas is just like a pigeon cooped up in a cage. I mean, Aaron Gase brings in Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas brings in Robert Saleh. Joe Douglas is still here. I don't know what his role is. Woody Johnson's obviously controlling the front office, but what a shit show.
It's a disaster right now. There's no, but it's always been a disaster. And listen, I don't think Robert Saleh was a great head coach. Right? I don't think he was a terrible head coach. He was just sort of there. He wasn't good with the media, which sort of makes him look worse. Right? Anytime, because everything is about the media and how you come across with the media and how you come across in these press conferences. And he always came across either sort of angry, confrontational. He would always just sort of say the wrong thing. He'd throw people under the bus often. I don't know if he meant to do it, but he'd end up throwing players under the bus often in these conferences. He wasn't a good communicator. I'm not going to dispute that, but the common theme is Nate Hackett. I mean, so last year it was like, all right, it's Zach Wilson's fault. Nate Hackett's the offensive coordinator last year because he gets brought in because of Aaron Rodgers. So it's all Zach Wilson's fault. Now it's the same thing. All right, whose fault was it? Well, whose fault was it in Denver before when Nate Hackett was there? It's everybody else's fault, right? I guess it was everyone else's fault in Jacksonville when he was the offensive coordinator, one of the worst offenses in the history of the NFL with the Jags. There's a common pattern here. And I don't know why Aaron Rodgers, I guess Aaron Rodgers figures, and that's another thing too. We can take, shots at Nate Hackett, Rick, but the fact of the matter is, it's Aaron Rodgers' offense. Nate Hackett's not telling Aaron Rodgers to do anything he doesn't want to do. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers is accepting all these plays. Aaron Rodgers is really the one. So I don't really think, like you said, it comes back to Aaron Rodgers here. But so they're going to go through how many years of this, of letting Rodgers run their organization and get absolutely nowhere? Are they going to do it again next year? Because they're crazy if they do. They got to draft a quarterback and move on.
I think the window's shutting very quickly. I think we saw Aaron Rodgers' career flash before our eyes in London again. And I do believe that Sam Darnold, the ghost of Sam Darnold, that played a little bit of a role. What do you think Woody Johnson thought up there in his little fancy suite in London watching Sam Darnold annihilate Aaron Rodgers? How about that?
Well, that's
And
another,
so-
that's just, and Sam Darnold's making a lot of other teams. Look at the Carolina Panthers, too. They had Mayfield and Darnold. But it goes to show. It's not really the quarterback, it's the coaching. Coaching matters. I get that. And then there's, like I said, there's going to be a million stories. But the other one is, don't forget, Woody Johnson was appointed the ambassador to the UK by Trump a couple of years ago, right? In the last, when he was elected president. That's what, money buys you ambassadorships in this world, right? So Woody Johnson's the ambassador to the UK. And there's also reports that he was embarrassed in front of his rich buddies in England this week. That he had all of his, his up-to-date UK friends to show off his shiny toy in his football team, and they got embarrassed, right? They got embarrassed in front of him. And I don't know, like I said, there's and I guess more than one thing can be true. I always say this in life, guys. There's always more to, two things can be true at the same time. But then there's the other one about how they had him escorted out of the building because they were scared of conflict. That that Salah and Johnson got into it before, and that Salah yelled at him and it freaked Johnson out. But that could just be them trying to make Salah look like a bully, right? So who knows? And honestly, I would say who knows, and somewhat who kind of cares in a way. Like, if they weren't in New York, nobody would care. Like you said, they're just a dysfunctional, bad football team that hasn't won in 50-plus years, yet the media talk about them because the city that they play in and because of the quarterback they signed. But, it's just a bad franchise that gets talked about too much, Rick.
Yeah, the parking lot thing, I've heard conflicting reports. I did hear that it was just really the security guard escorting him out from the facility to his car, which is standard protocol. But I don't know, man. Like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there just seems to be too much turmoil for too long. And, listen, the Jets were a terrible team with them. It can't be much worse.
Always. No, but there's been turmoil for 50 years, so it's not like you can blame him. More on the other side with Rick.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. So we could talk about this New York Giants soap opera all night, but there's another football team that plays at MetLife Stadium, and suddenly they're showing signs of progress right now. This New York Giant team, and one thing about the Giants, and we've known this as bettors, they've always been a good road team. Like, you know what I mean? They'll go on the road. The Giants are a great road team when they're getting like 6 points, 7 points, 5 points, whatever. They're a road dog. They'll go on the road and they'll surprise you. And then they'll lose at home. They've been a terrible home team over the years, and they have a tendency of winning a road game that nobody thought they were going to win, and then going back home and losing again. We've seen this already this year. They got the Cincinnati Bengals. It's Sunday night. It's very similar to the Cowboy game in which they were coming off the win. They're playing on prime time, national television. They get another crack at national television on Sunday night against the Cincinnati Bengals, Rick.
Yeah, it's funny, Gabe. It's still a formula for success in the National Football League, and that's playing good defense and being able to run the ball. And it only took them about a month or so to figure it out that their 6th-round pick out of Purdue, Tyrone Tracy, is the best running back in the building. And he alleviated the pressure off of Daniel Jones. It opened up the passing attack because they were able to gain more than 2 yards on first down. They were able to move the chains. Daniel Jones probably played the best game of his life. Can he sustain that over the long haul? I don't know. They're running into a Bengals team that really just coming off a shootout against Baltimore. I thought it was the game of the year. They're all pissed off, and
they can't stop anybody, though, Rick. The Bengals' offense is lethal. Their defense is terrible. Let's just call it out for what it is. That's the theme of the Bengals this year.
Yeah, and you know what? The Giants' defense is actually pretty good. And so they might be a good matchup against Cincinnati. And I'll tell you what, how about the wheels falling off the wagon for the Bengals? I mean, this is a team, I feel like we say it every year. They come into the season with championship aspirations. The depth looks great. They have all these great players and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And like, what are they 1-4? If they lose this game, what are they going to be, 1-5? Like, talk about the sand running out in the time glass in Cincinnati. How many times are they going to stumble out of the gates? And, you mentioned the Giants. They got an uphill battle because the Commanders are red hot. And I'm looking forward to this Commanders and Ravens matchup to find out who's the king of D.C. Is this Washington Commanders team for real? I think that's the matchup of the week.
Yeah, we got a rivalry, a little gang war, D.C. style, the battle of the district. and I'm surprised the Commanders are getting 6.5 points in this game. I think it's too high. Yeah. I think people are waiting for the bubble to burst. And, I don't think the bubble will burst in a big way in the sense. I think the Commanders are for real. I bought in. I think they're for real. I think they can win a division. They can go to the playoffs and all this. But doesn't mean they're going 16-1 and they're going to win every week. So, you keep waiting for that sort of that bad performance. But you look at Baltimore. I look at this game. You just said how, big, exciting game against Cincinnati. I can see kind of a similar game. Both teams are going to go up and down the field on each other. Lamar Jackson versus Jaden Daniels.
Get your popcorn ready for this one. This is going to be a back-and-forth game. Washington really dominated Cleveland. I can't. You're right. Vegas hasn't caught up yet because I checked the Super Bowl odds.
They were 3-point favorites too, only against what? They were only 3-point favorites against Cleveland. Right. I was like, really? And I took them. It was an easy win.
That was off. And now, if you look at the Super Bowl odds, it's fascinating because in terms of the NFC, you got 2-3 San Francisco, who's still favored, and then you got the Commanders, who are like all the way down the list. There's a couple good matchups this week. I think the Lions have a good game, and Green Bay's playing well now with Jordan Love coming back. So the NFC is a little bit more wide open, where the AFC still runs through Kansas City. We talk about coaching matters. I mean, these players drop like flies over there at Kansas City, and it's next man up. Rashee Rice, you're out. Hey, no problem.
They just keep winning, bro. It's unbelievable. They just find. And, dude, it's the defense. You talk about it. Defense. People don't, it's always about offense and the quarterbacks and all this and the wide receivers and the drama. Defense, man. Right? And we're seeing the teams that play defense in the National Football League running the football right now. But you're right, Rick, as far as the Commanders are concerned, 30-1, bro, to win the Super Bowl. But put in context, the New York Jets are 28-1.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
we're just talking about, like, so you have a team that can't get a first down. We're talking about markets and lines and stuff like that. And honestly, and another thing with the Jets, whatever, like the AFC is hard. There's a bunch of good teams. The NFC is wide open this year.
That's right.
Like everyone comes into the year, oh, San Francisco. Well, San Francisco are having a hard time winning football games right now, guys. Right? Like, for real. I mean, they could be 2-4 if they lose on Thursday. The Philadelphia Eagles coming into the year. Nobody's fearing the Eagles. They're okay. Right? I mean, like, let's be real. You look at this division, and you look at, the Commanders, they could win a division. You look at the rest of the conference. You know what I mean? You got Tampa Bay. I mean, in the playoffs, it could be Tampa Bay, Detroit, Seattle. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Washington, you're not going to be scared of anybody. Dan Quinn's been to a Super Bowl before. Right? It's not like he's a rookie coach, right? Like, great odds, as you stated, 30-1. Interesting. We just see, like, the Cowboys are 20-1. Cowboys coming off the nice win. All right, Rick, so I want to tip my cap to you, and it hasn't happened yet, but I believe that it could happen. And you were a little bit ahead of the curve in which you made Cam Ward your number one pick, right, on your board for the NFL draft. I'm totally buying. There's a lot of talk about him for the Heisman right now. I'm not sure he's going to win the Heisman. He could. But I think he's 10-1, Rick, right now. 10-1. You bet $100, you get $1,000, $1,100 back, with your 100 stake. That he'll be the number one pick in the NFL draft. Carson Beck is still favored to be the number one pick in the draft. I don't buy that. Quinn Ewers is the second guy on the odds boards. I don't think Quinn Ewers is the number one pick in the NFL draft. Third pick is Shedeur Sanders, who I think could be. And then I get to Cam Ward at 10-1. In my opinion, as of right now, Rick, I think NFL teams will be debating, do we go Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward with the top pick?
Yeah, I mean, he's outplayed just about all those guys you rattled off. You talk about these gutsy performances week in, week out, putting up arcade video game-like numbers. Listen, I thought Jalen Milroe was the better quarterback in that game against Georgia 2 weeks ago, so I don't think Carson Beck is even in consideration as the number one quarterback.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
San Diego wins the baseball game 6-5, one win away from the National League Championship Series. They'll be playing tomorrow night. A ton of drama at Petco tonight. Ton of early runs, and then nothing really happened. Pretty crazy. The Dodgers only got one runner on base after Teoscar Hernandez's grand slam in the third inning. And Suarez, man, this guy throws like missiles, right? Coming in at 100+. Dodgers couldn't hit him in the 8th and 9th inning tonight. So the game's a pick-em tomorrow. It's minus 108 right now with FanDuel on both sides. No listed pitchers. San Diego's up against it because they lost Musgrove. The Dodgers are going to start Knack. It's not listed here, but that was the plan, to start Landon Knack. But it's going to be all hands on deck because it's an elimination game. Anybody that can pitch would be available to pitch. We got afternoon baseball once again tomorrow. We got NHL hockey tomorrow night. It's a great time of the year. College football is on every day now for the rest of the year. And for the record, it's 3-1 right now for Utah. 3-1 for Utah. It was 3-0, Cam. Chicago scored a goal. Chicago's coming on. They're causing some havoc. They've got to capitalize. This is their second power play in the last, 5 minutes, and they didn't do anything on the last power play. Here's another one right now. They got a puncher's chance of getting back in this game if they can score the next goal and make it 3-2.
Yeah, you're right, Morency. And I got to be honest with you, they played a really bad first period, but you're right. Watching this game, they're really starting to take it to Utah. We'll see what happens in the third period. But, the special teams haven't been very good for the Blackhawks.
Man, this arena, these players go from like a volleyball arena in Arizona that holds 4,500 people to this arena in which it's not configured for hockey. It looks like that Arena Bowl that was played in the Mall of the Dream Mall in Jersey. Like the sight lines are weird in this arena. If you look at it from the player's perspective, it's like they're squeezed in. It's really squeezed in here. I wanted to get to this. Thanks, guys. The best of X, actually. This is pretty cool. Speaking of hockey season, I wanted to do this when McKinnis was on earlier. This is the Vegas' East Coast Hockey League affiliate, the Tahoe Night Monsters. This is their face-off circle at center ice. It's a roulette wheel, sponsored by
awesome.
Harris.
That's beautiful. Vegas should actually do that too. Gorgeous. I love that.
It's a creative idea.
It is.
Especially, you could put blackjack. You could do like different things on the ice. Mm-hmm. I don't think the NHL wouldn't want that, but the East Coast Hockey League, you could do whatever the hell you want to do, but very creative. They got the roulette wheel going, and I like the name too, the Tahoe Night Monsters. Good stuff. So Major League Baseball, we got stuff in the afternoon tomorrow. Cleveland and Detroit, of course, are tied at 1. Every game that Skubal doesn't pitch is a bullpen game for Detroit, right? They just roll like that. They're going to roll out a bunch of pitchers and hope for the best. Cobb goes for the Guardians. I like the Guardians in this game. I know everything's coming up Detroit here. It's in Detroit. Okay, I get it. But I'm going with my gut here. My gut tells me that the Guardians are going to win this game. And I like the under 7, too. It's been such a low-scoring series. I would expect that trend to continue tomorrow. Philadelphia Phillies and the Mets, you just can't get in front of this Met team right now. Like, it seems like the Mets and San Diego are on a collision course. And the Mets are small underdogs. They're plus 100 on the at home here. Quintana versus Suarez. Total is 7. I think the Mets get it done and finish them off. I think the Mets are going to win this game and finish them off. Yankees at Royals. Lugo versus Schmidt. Yankees are minus 120. Royals are plus 102 at FanDuel. I'm going to go with the Royals in this game. I think the Royals beat the Yankees tomorrow night. And Dodgers, San Diego, I'll take the Dodgers and hope for the best day here, but they're definitely up against it. We'll have a bunch of hockey picks tomorrow, but I should note Canadians play the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. What's your pick for that game, Cam?
I like Toronto, Gabe, but Montreal, they're going to be a hard out. I like lean over 6.5. I want to take the under, but they get together and always weird things happen. I'm with you on the Royals. I like the Vancouver Canucks in regulation, over 6.5 with Vancouver and Calgary, and under 6.5 with Winnipeg and Edmonton.
So full day of action tomorrow, man. Major League Baseball, NHL hockey, college football. We'll have picks for it all. It will be on tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern on the Wicked Wednesday, as we've got football every day now for like the next 54 days in a row or something like that. There's going to be college football, CFL football, or NFL football on daily. Shout out to our crew and Master Control. Great job. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.